T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Yeah, Lord, this for you. I was a mess, little hair on my chest, fresh as a newborn, but I'm headed for death. Some saying I'm blessed, cause I'm still alive. Every day in the hood, I was fighting to survive. So sin I quiet as an adolescent, walking in darkness, spirit facing oppression. You couldn't tell me nothing, swag was on 100, speeding in the fast lane, call me crash dummy. Then I put on the helmet of salvation and received the revelation. Yeah, I could be a leader in this nation.
Welcome everybody back to the Original G Podcast. We are your hosts, rockinmrmagic,
UniqDNA,
MightyTP,
and we are the Original Geeks, y'all. It's Saturday night, moon's bright, we having fun. College football is live in color and making a whole lot of noise. We're going to jump off tonight in the wild world of college football. And unfortunately, for some fans of some story programs, life ain't so good right now. Let's talk about Notre Dame and Michigan State. And I feel sorry for my poor mother who's a Spartan. It's a tough subject if you're listening, moms, but hey, your team ain't looking so hot right now. Who's in a worse spot right now, Coach D'Antonio Spartans or Brian Kelly and the Fighting Irish?
I have an opinion on this. I can go. I'm all right with that. I think the Irish are. There's a lot of pressure right now on independent schools to perform or to join a big conference.
Oh yeah.
There was an advantage to being an independent school before the BCS Championship Series came in, because you could still make your way to the national championship by making your own schedule, not belonging to a conference. But now that's not necessarily the easiest way to go. I think the pressure is there's a little bit more at stake. I mean, Michigan State, they're already part of a major conference. So they're if they lose, they have a losing season. You can bring back the coach and have a potentially winning season next year. I mean, it's all about recruitment and the guys you got. But
right.
I mean, right. Notre Dame there's a little bit more at stake here. It's not just, if we lose, the pressure's a little bit higher now for the higher ups, the money makers, the money earners. That we need to get into a conference. That's
Right.
my thought.
Well, that's a good, interesting take. I've said for years I thought that Notre Dame needed to get into a conference. I said that back in the early 2000s. Especially when the program they were struggling. They were still obviously Notre Dame. They were okay, but they were struggling. They weren't playing that great of football. They weren't getting great recruits. Firing Ty Willingham left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth. Me especially. I mean, my respect for the program left at that day. I didn't like them, but I did respect them until then. They had a tough time. And they still have a tough time getting the top talent. And there was a time that wasn't a problem for them. They got top talent. Now they get talent, but the best aren't going to Notre Dame anymore. It doesn't even seem to be that they're even considering Notre Dame anymore. Where Michigan State has never had that allure. Ever. I mean, they've always been a good program, a program that's always been an overachiever. So when they're in the national spotlight, they've got some good teams, but they've never been consistently, one of those upper echelon programs. So I'd have to agree with TP. I think Notre Dame's definitely in the biggest amount of trouble here, especially losing to the schools that they're losing to. I mean, Michigan State. I mean, they're losing in these conference games. Wisconsin, a very good squad. Indiana's an improved squad. It took overtime, and then they had the other loss in there that I can't think of right now. That they took, and that really hurts them. But they're not losing to basketball schools. They're not losing to Duke either. Notre Dame's losing to Duke. That says a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny you brought up basketball school because I would think of Michigan State probably at this point as more of a basketball school.
No, Michigan State will always be a football school.
Is it a football school? Okay, this is just my West Coast.
It's your West Coast, West Coast Laker, close to the Lakers bias because of Magic. I mean, and that's okay because honestly, most people have that perception unless they are from a Big Ten area. It wasn't the Big Ten. Everybody knows Michigan State is a basketball school first and foremost. The success of Magic in the 80s, or actually that was 79, that title, and then Coach Heathcote, and then double down on that with the masterful job that Coach Izzo has done for the Spartan men's basketball team. And you definitely have a reason for people to think that Michigan State's a basketball school, but it will always be first and foremost a football school.
That's good. All right.
Unlike Notre Dame, which I also like Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame, it's always going to be a football school, but Notre Dame had that, they have that allure. I mean, they got movies made about them,
I was going to say the same thing. It's kind of hard when you have a movie after you, you know what I mean? That's a high expectation right there.
Oh, and the people that have come out of Notre Dame, Montana, Tim Brown, Jerome Bettis. I mean, so many people came out of Notre Dame.
Let me throw this angle out there and see what you think about a possibility or a contributor to the decline.
Okay.
How much do you think that it being a Catholic school plays into it?
Not much.
You don't think?
I don't think. You know why? Because the allure of Notre Dame as a school, I don't even think, I honestly don't think that any school anymore, if they were a Catholic school or a Jesuit school, or they were based as a Christian school in the past, has very little meaning anymore with these major schools. Like Baylor. Most people don't know Baylor is a Baptist school. You know, most people don't know that, Princeton, I think Princeton was a Jesuit school and Harvard was like a Methodist school. These schools, they're not, either they've gone so far away from those teachings that it doesn't matter anymore. In Notre Dame, most people that go there, especially for sports, they're not going there because they're Catholic. They're going there because it's Notre Dame and the name and the history, and they want to go somewhere and leapfrog off of that platform.
See, I'm coming from Utah here, where we have BYU, which is
it's a Mormon school.
It's a Mormon school, exactly, and here. It's very, very Mormon. They have a code of standards there, a code of ethics that every student has to agree to before they can enroll in the school, or before they get accepted and attend the school. And this code of ethics is serious. I mean, it's a very Christian, moral based code of ethics. And down to the point where if you're caught sleeping over in a opposite sex dorm, you get expelled.
Yeah, you could not be doing anything. You could just fell asleep there.
Right. So I guess I don't know how big of like you said, where that may not be such a thing, and they may not enforce stuff like that there. But here, where BYU is also an independent and also a church affiliated school, it's a big deal, and I would say that it's possibly helps their recruitment in some areas, but I think more than that, it hinders their recruitment. I mean, they lose a lot of recruitment to Utah just because of that, and just because of the rules. Not because people don't necessarily want to live to those rules, but more so, we're human. We make mistakes. What happens if that happens? What happens if I make a mistake? What happens if I fall asleep? We have a co-ed party and I fall asleep over there. Am I expelled now and out of football?
Exactly. Well, I remember not too long ago, BYU, one of their best players on the basketball team, was suspended because I don't remember I think he had sex with some girl, or he did something that broke the code of ethics and he couldn't play. That was a hot time.
That was during the boom of Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah,
and
that was during Jimmer's
they were
time.
going deep into the tournament. I mean, they were a good team, and they had no quarrels about saying, sorry, you're done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it definitely that code of ethics comes first in that situation. So
but that's been the case with BYU. From the outset, I've never heard of them wavering, whether it was Ty Detmer there, or whether it was Steve Young playing there. Like, I've never heard of them wavering on their ethics, whereas we all know how the Catholic Church loves to waver on their ethics. So, I don't think even if they did, even back then, like, the heydays, I'm like a lot of these cats that were going there, like Jerome Bez is not Catholic. There's a lot of. I went to Catholic schools. I went Catholic. I went to Catholic schools because of the program. I went to Pittsburgh Central Catholic and then transferred to Allentown Central Catholic, and I am not Catholic. Ain't never been Catholic. Ain't never gonna be Catholic. They had Pittsburgh Central Catholic. That's where Dan Marino went. Great football program with a full race school. And then my parents had to move, and I was like, well, what's the best program around? Allentown Central Catholic. Tight end there is getting recruited by Penn State. This guy's getting recruited by West Virginia. This guy on the team is getting recruited by here. They have potential within the state championship. I went to Allentown Central Catholic. There's nothing Catholic about me. And so I think people have that same feeling about Notre Dame when it comes to that portion when it comes to religion, just because they're not worried about it. They know they're not there for that. They're there to go to school. They're there to play football. They're there to go to the next level. I really don't see it hindering them at all, especially because it's a Catholic school. Now, if it was Liberty, and Liberty doesn't make any noise on the football side, but they do make noise on the basketball side of things. If it was Liberty, that would be different. If someone violated the code of ethics at Liberty, if it was, let's say when Seth Curry was still there, before he transferred to Duke, and Seth Curry had stayed there and, broke their code of ethics, even though he was clearly their best player, I'm pretty sure they would have had no problem sitting him down and suspending him for, how long they would ever deem necessary. But most of the major programs, they don't have that problem. Like Baylor, I remember after Brittany Geiger, after she, graduated, all this stuff came out, and she came out about how the coach told her, this is a Baptist school, and you just keep it to yourself while you're here, and and keep it moving. And that's what she did. And I think I don't think she was really all that hidden. People probably had their ideas. People probably knew, but she didn't let her stop her going. From going to a Baptist school that was going to allow her to play basketball for free. That didn't stop her recruitment. That didn't stop RG3 from going to to Baylor or anybody else for going to a Baylor football program now that is that's definitely still on the rise despite the garbage that Art Biles was going on there. When I was a kid, I didn't even know, I never even heard of Baylor, and until Brian Skinner came into the NBA. I was like, where's Baylor at? Now this is a football team 10, 15 years ago that no one had even knew of, and now they are consistently being talked about in the top 25. But I don't think the religion holds them up in the recruiting at all either.
Checkmate.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair. It's good to get a good take on that. Living here in Utah, it's
kind of
that's the only sample I have. So okay, cool.
Karl Malone ain't no Mormon, but he was there for how long?
Absolutely. No, John Stockton wasn't either.
John Stockton's not either. Yeah.
Yeah. To
my knowledge, he's pretty evangelical. Yeah, true. To my knowledge, Stockton's pretty evangelical. Is that accurate?
I don't know. I don't know what they are. That's not.
There was a rumor I heard. I don't know.
It's possible. The only time it's here made a big deal here is if someone's Mormon and comes here. Then it's like, oh, coming home to the promised land. It's kind of
Brother so-and-so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Houston and their loss to Navy. It's bad enough. And Houston was obviously trying to get to one of those coveted playoff spots. Losing is one thing. Losing to Navy, losing to an armed forces school. Does that ruin Houston's chances of making the college football playoff?
I don't think it ruins their chances. It definitely makes it more difficult. But I think they still got a good chance at making the playoffs for sure. They're still a good team, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, I think this should be all right. I don't see that being a what's the word I'm looking for?
Deterrent?
Deterrent. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, see, I don't know, because, I mean, Houston, they're coached well, which we all know. Coach Herman is an excellent young coach. I mean, he's the hottest thing out there right now that people are looking at. But they haven't played anybody. I mean, I know they've only lost like 2 or 3 games in Herman's entire tenure there, and I think he's been there for 3 years. But they haven't played anybody, and then to lose to Navy in a high-scoring affair, that says a lot about your lack of defense. We knew they could score. We knew they had a lot of creativity, a lot of firepower. We knew that going in, but you got to be able to stop somebody. You can't stop Navy from scoring. And I don't know. And I didn't. Now, granted, I didn't watch the game. I don't know if Navy was pulling out that wishbone, and these guys just had no idea how to deal with it. If they couldn't keep track of the ball.
Do you think because this is the first somewhat decent team that they played, maybe that now they're going to make those adjustments that they know they need to make in order to secure their spot?
I wouldn't call Navy a decent team. I mean, it's generally the better.
I mean, compared to everybody else that they played so far, they're one of the better teams out of everybody else they played so far.
You think so? They shouldn't be. I mean, anytime you play a school, one of the armed forces, it's a cakewalk. I mean, there were a couple years where Navy was pretty good. And there were those couple years where Air Force was like ranked in the low top 25. But these schools. I mean, they're soldiers who are, not. They don't have. They're linemen. You can't have a soldier who's the size of an NFL lineman. You can't have the same athletes, the same prospects, because these guys got to go to war eventually. Or hopefully not, but so they can't have 6'5", 350-pound linemen, like Alabama does, or these other schools, and even the people that Houston gets. It shouldn't be close. The athletes that you're able to get and work with compared to what the Navy or Air Force or Army, what they have to work with, it shouldn't even be. It shouldn't even be close. You gotta be. I don't know. I remember when Ohio State almost lost to Navy, and they were out of like half their talent. I mean, I think it was Pryor had been suspended, and all these guys were gone, and it was the first year that Tressel was gone, and the team was depleted of a bunch of talent, and they just barely hung on to beat Navy. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Navy came to play. These guys are, they're discombobulated, and the game was close. But if you're at full strength and you're the 6th ranked team in the nation, you shouldn't be pulling out, having to have a nail biter against, a military school. I just. So
you think it's more they underestimated them?
I think they're overhyped. I don't think Houston is that good. I think they've got talent. I'm not sold on them. I don't think they're that good. The only team that they've played, I shouldn't say they didn't play them. They did play Oklahoma, but I think Oklahoma's overhyped. I don't think Oklahoma's that good this year either. They beat Cincinnati, another basketball school. They beat Texas State, and I don't even know where that is. They beat UConn, another basketball school. And they beat Louisiana Monroe. Nobody's. They have Tulsa left on their schedule. Another basketball school. SMU, another basketball school. UCF, Tulane. And then they got Louisville. That's an actual team. And then they got Memphis, another basketball school. They don't, except for their out-of-conference game in Oklahoma, they don't play nobody. So granted, that's the schedule they have. That's the conference they're in. But I can't look at a schedule like that and say, hey, this team, after losing the Navy, still may have a shot for playing for the to play for the national title. I don't think you're that good.
I don't know. I guess I have to disagree. Like I said, I think if anything, I think they just underestimated them, and they just kind of like thought they were going into, kind of like you said, they're going into an easy win, and we all know how it is when you go into an easy win. You don't exactly play like you're top 20 ranked team or top 10.
So let's take a shift to the hardwood. The NBA is roughly a little over 2 weeks away from tip-off. This whole offseason has been full of drama with the KD signing, LeBron bringing the championship to Cleveland, a whole bunch of aftermath, of course, with the tweets from Ayesha Curry about the NBA being rigged, a whole lot of people finding that the suspension of Draymond Green for Game 5 being very suspect, and a whole lot of drama surrounding this upcoming NBA season. Joel Embiid, is he actually ever going to play? And how good is Kevin Durant going to be in Golden State? And how good is Golden State going to be, being that they truly don't have a rim protector anymore, being that Andrew Bogut is now a Dallas Maverick. I know UniqDNA loves basketball as much as I do, and because he's still trying to be lazy and be a little quiet, I'm going to ask him to start off this topic on the Golden State Warriors.
I was not being lazy. I am still here. No, I wasn't talking much, but I'm still here.
He's a fan right now.
Are you sitting in Jersey trying to console all those Rutgers fans right now?
Luckily, I'm not a Rutgers fan, so there's not much consoling going on from me anyway. So the NBA and its drama. When does the NBA not have drama? I guess that's why it's on TNT, right?
Yes.
Oh, no drama.
Well done. Yes, they know drama. That's exactly why they have the NBA on there. Yeah, if they don't stop, they're going to end up on Lifetime.
And then that's when I'll stop watching.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start, man.
We've had this is the first two preseason games took place recently, where the Warriors lost to the Toronto Raptors, and the internet was like, the Warriors ain't all that good. Warriors gonna be crap. Blah 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 blah. And then the Warriors play the Clippers in their second preseason game, and they win by 45. And then, man, why don't we want to watch? This is going to be boring. The Warriors is going to destroy everybody. These dudes hit 15 threes in the preseason. They're just so good. You got guys saying this is the best starting lineup ever, which I feel like slapping everybody that says that this is the best starting five ever. They clearly don't know basketball or clearly haven't watched much basketball. But not judging off those two preseason games, obviously, but based off of your knowledge of the game, your knowledge of how these players play, and this how the roster's built. How good is Golden State? Are they as advertised? Are they going to really just? Obviously, they have to play the game, but is it almost a given that this team wins the championship?
I say no. I don't think so. I think they're still gonna have to work. They're still gonna have to play the game. They're still because now it's one thing when you're the underdog, right? Everybody underestimates you, but when you're the team to beat, everybody's bringing their A game, and everybody's watching game film, looking for every hole that they can exploit, right? And I mean, Golden State has some. Obviously, we see that. We see that with the first game. So I think that they're gonna have to do a lot of work. More than any other team, they're gonna have to do a lot of work because everybody's out to beat them. Everybody's out to beat what were they calling it last summer? The super lineup, or I forgot what they were calling
the Death Squad.
The Death Squad, yeah,
the Death lineup. Which
yeah.
now has KD on it.
Right. So I think they're gonna be the team to beat. They're gonna be the 96 Bulls or they're just gonna be that team. They're gonna have to work for it, just because of who they are, because of their lineup, because of what they got. Is it the best lineup ever? I put it maybe in the top 5, top 10, but I wouldn't say best ever. And if it is, they're gonna have to prove that, right? And that's
Almost
not
definitely.
one championship. They're gonna have to go on a couple of streaks. For me to admit that they're the best lineup ever, they need to go on 4, 5, 6. Not one, not two, not three.
They'd have to start jingling. Rings would have to start jingling in their hands.
They're gonna need to win a few diamonds, before I start.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that, because I think everybody needs to pump the brakes on this. Best lineup of all time.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't won a game yet. How are they the best lineup ever? They haven't won a game, official season game yet.
Exactly. Well, but we live in this internet age, this hype machine age, where every minute something changes and something happens. This is the best ever. This is it. This is that. Like my God. LeBron did this. He's the best ever. Or now Steph did this. He's the greatest shooter ever. And this and that. I'm like, just pump the brakes. I mean, I think the Warriors are really good. I think they're more dangerous this year than they were last year, and not because of KD. If they had the exact same roster, I would think that they're more dangerous this year than last year, because they stated that they do not care about the number of wins. They care about winning it all. And I think they're going to be much wiser with how much energy they expend, how they manage their minutes, how they put teams away. I think they're going to be a much wiser basketball team this year. I think they were just a little too loose last year. They caught a bad break, obviously, with Steph getting hurt against the Rockets, right. and him not being 100%. But of course, that's the game. That's basketball. People get hurt. There's ultimately no excuses there when it comes to that. But I think they are more dangerous with their focus. And then now they've got a hungry Durant who has really just come out and pretty much, try to indirectly say he wasn't having fun in OKC because, now he's playing. He's learned a new brand. He's learned more about basketball. There's a new way to play. And once I get when you're the star and you're used to doing ISO all the time, 2, 3, 4, 5 dribbles and you get your shot. You may think that's the only way to play, but to me,
think that
to me, if you're on that level, you should know there's more than one way to play.
But that's what I was just gonna say. I was like, do you think that's just a cop out, just to say like
that's a cop? Oh, it's almost a cop out. It's
kind of like say, well, yeah, this is why I wasn't winning. Right? This is
he,
why I can never win a championship because I wasn't having fun. Like,
well, yeah, the fun comment, yeah, but I mean, honestly, it's KD taking shots at Russell in Oklahoma City, and that's pretty much at the bottom line what it is.
That's him saying what everyone else is already saying.
Well, it's what people have said. The thing is, people have been saying for forever. I mean, how many sportscasters say, I love Russell, I love him, I love this, I love his ferocity, but the guy holds the ball too much. The guy doesn't give it to Kevin when Kevin wants it. Then by the time he wants to give it to Kevin, Kevin's pissed off and doesn't even want it anymore. Like
I mean, at this level, I mean, come on. You gotta be ready and prepared for those things and learn how to work around them or work with them or what have you. I mean, everybody was.
But that's why Kevin left. They've been together for 8 years. They couldn't work around it. And that's why he left. And I don't blame him for that. I can't be mad at the guy for look, we were partners for 8 years. Everyone else saw our problems and we tried to handle them. But it didn't work. And I need to get mine before I'm too old. I mean, he's going to be 30 in a year and a half. He wants to get a championship. It's something he desires to have. He doesn't want to be one of those guys he doesn't want to be one of the Ewings or Barkleys or Reggie Millers. These top flight guys that don't have hardware at all. And he doesn't want to be, a Mitch Richmond type, who just sits on the, as a guy who came and contributed, just sits on the end of the bench and gathers a ring either. So he said, we were together for 8 years. We did make it to the finals. We made it to a bunch of conference finals. We competed. We played hard. It just didn't work. I mean, to me, there's no shame in that. I don't have a problem with that. I applaud it, honestly. I think that's just smart business on Kevin's part. I don't think him taking shots is necessary, as indirect as he's trying to make it. I think he just needs to shut up and play ball, because he still haven't won anything yet. Like you said, they haven't won a regular season game yet. But I look at this roster and I say, I think, even though I think they're more dangerous, I think they're also just as vulnerable as last year's team because they have no rim protection. Draymond Green getting suspended sucked, and definitely I thought was a crap move on the NBA's part. But the real reason why the Warriors lost is because Bogut got hurt in Game 5, and they lost their rim protection. LeBron was able to, and Kyrie were able to do whatever they wanted to get into the cup that game and the next two games, and there was no one there to deter them. So even though the death lineup that everyone wants to talk about, when Draymond's playing the 5 and they got all these wing guys out there and they're shooting, and Iguodala's on the court and with Steph and Clay and whoever decides to be the number 5, the guy out there they have at the time who's ever hot, pretty much. The death lineup would always be only be out there together for 5-6 minutes, and that'd be in the fourth quarter. Like that wasn't what they were starting with. It's not how most of the game was played. Most of the game was played with Ezeli or Bogut out there doing the dirty work, deterring shots, getting rebounds, and they don't have either of those cats no more. And replacing them with David West, who I respect and like, but is nowhere near the defender. Never been a shot blocker, never been a rim protector. And JaVale McGee, who we all know, he's a hot mess. And it's just what he is. He's got all the talent in the world. He's got the gifts. He should be dominant, but he's not. He's just not there. And Zaza Pachulia, a great hard worker, hustler, but never been a rim protector. No one's scared to drive the lane on Zaza Pachulia. He's not blocking shots anywhere. So I think Golden State is vulnerable. They definitely can be beaten because they do not have somebody to clean up for defensive mistakes, especially on the gambles that Steph and Iggy would like to take. playing those passing lanes. And as great of an on-the-ball defender Iggy is, he is getting older and playing passing lanes more often because he can't stay on the ball as much anymore as Clay's starting to become their primary on-the-ball defender. So yeah, I think that they've got something they've got to work out defensively, especially. Offensively, it doesn't matter. These guys could probably go blindfolded offensively and outscore everybody else. They have and watching them pass the ball and watching how much fun that they're having distributing the ball, moving the ball, pushing up court. They've got 4 guys out of 5 that can get the rebound and handle it and can get the ball up the court themselves without having to get the ball to the point guard. Extremely dangerous offensively. But defensively, they definitely have a lot of holes, and I definitely think that their vulnerability is going to cause them some problems. I think they'll win because I think having more vulnerability will make them more aware. Sometimes having a weakness and being aware of that weakness makes us stronger as far as fixing it and finding out a way to take care of that weakness compared to when you set a record for wins and you kind of got this air of invulnerability around you, then you can start to get careless. So I definitely think they're in a better position to win it all. I think everybody needs to pump the brakes with this, best starting 5 of all time. They clearly haven't heard of the 85 Celtics. I don't know, it was 85, 86, I think. I think it was 86 because, Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Danny Ainge. That's 4 guys who are Hall of Famers. And
don't forget about that Lakers squad with Shaq, Kobe, Malone, and Peyton.
I don't count that squad because GP and Malone were too old.
No, they were still capable and good.
They were too old.
They were still capable and good. I'm telling you.
I remember I watched that. I remember that was my Pistons beat the brakes off them. They were too old. They were too old.
Now that's a team, not players. That's not a collection of players. That
was a team.
Yes. That was a team.
That was a team. Then that Lakers squad was a collection of players that was 2 old dudes trying to piggyback and get a ring. Compared to a team, but there's another Lakers squad that I'm sorry, the Lakers squad where you've got Magic, you've got Cooper, you've got Byron Scott, you've got Worthy, you've got Kareem, you've got AC Green, you've got Michael Thompson on the bench. That squad was pretty sick. That's 3 Hall of Famers there. And then you even had that squad before them where, you still had, Jamal Wilkes and you had Bob McAdoo on the bench and you had Kareem. I forget who the starting 5 that 1980 championship squad was. Best of all time. I'm sorry. They don't even have the best backcourt of all time, let alone the best starting 5 of all time. Because you call it a homer pick, whatever. But to me, Isaiah and Joe are still the best backcourt of all time. There's no way any Golden State has the best anything of all time right now.
Until they win something, they don't have anything in my book.
Well, the thing is, they have. Well, the backcourt wise, they have won something. But this current collective.
Well, yeah, but I mean this current lineup.
Well, today. See, and most people look at them. This lineup hasn't won anything, but most of it, people are looking at and thinking KD hasn't won anything because the rest of these cats have.
Yeah, but they couldn't. They were, obviously Steph got hurt and all of that, but they couldn't repeat it. So,
but you know how hard it is to repeat.
I know that. So how you?
The Spurs
because you added one guy. You added one guy, and now this is the best lineup ever.
But it's not. But it's not just one guy. It's one KD.
That is true.
I get that, but I don't know. It's.
But you know what? I don't knock it because the Spurs tried that. Like, you look at the Spurs; they've never won back-to-back titles ever, and the 5 they won, they've never won back-to-back, and they have won the one championship, and they wanted to get someone to replace Robinson, so they approached Jermaine O'Neal, who had just had an All-Star year with the Pacers, and J.O. was going to sign with the Pacers sign with the Spurs. And the only reason why he was going to consider staying with the Pacers was that if Isaiah Thomas was coming back as his coach, and they were like, "Yeah, Isaiah's coming back, and we're bringing back most of the squad. We had a good year. We're going to keep building." Blah 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 blah. So J.O. resigns with the Pacers. They fire Isaiah. Bring in. I think they brought Rick Carlisle immediately after that, which was the right move in my opinion, basketball wise. As much as I love Isaiah, but there was a move that they straight up lied to Jermaine, and he was pissed off about it, and he flat out said, I remember reading Slam magazine, he flat out said, "I was going to go to San Antonio," and so it's not like teams who don't say, "Look, okay, we won the championship. How are we going to keep it? We need to get better. Hey, let's get probably the most promising big man in the game at this time in Jermaine O'Neal to play alongside the current best power forward in the league right now in Tim Duncan." Had that happened, granted, who knows if that would have happened, what it would have looked like. Can you imagine Jermaine O'Neal at his peak? Was Tim Duncan at his peak? And Parker and Ginobili are still young? And Steven Jackson? I'm like, yo, that would have been scary. Almost as scary as KD playing with these Warriors. Now, not that Jermaine O'Neal's ever that top level, but that's scary.
Here's the problem. And I'm gonna tie something else that we've talked a lot about sports this segment, this episode, but I'm gonna relay some gaming knowledge to this because we're gamers. That's what we do.
This is true.
I think we understand something, a subject better than a lot of other people who aren't gamers, and that subject is diminishing returns. Okay.
Yeah.
We know all about diminishing returns. We know that there's only a maximum amount. I mean, there's not an unlimited amount of points that can be scored in the NBA during a game. There's a finite amount, right? Now, when you're already when you're already 90% efficient, okay? I mean, we're talking near borderline perfection here, okay? You're 90% efficient. When you add someone who even is arguably top 3 player in the NBA, someone that doesn't understand diminishing returns is going to look at this and say, "Oh, well, they were already one game away from being," or did they get, I can't remember, did they get the single season record?
They did, yes.
They did, yeah. So they get the single season record, and they're adding KD. They're thinking in their head, "Oh, wow, that's like another 40% production right there. Oh, they're 130% production." No, that's not possible, okay? But that's easy to do, and that's easy to look at this team and say, and that's where this is all coming from, is because you look at it and say, well, they already have the best record as a team. Now they're adding one of the top 3 players. This is just the best team ever, right? But what they don't understand is there is something called diminishing returns.
It's called the bungee effect.
Yeah, whatever it is, KG, exactly, the bungee effect. Whatever it is KD adds to this team, he is also subtracting from Clay, Curry, Green. He's subtracting from them. He's not just creating his own. He's also taking from them. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, if you're looking at this from a pure value numbers perspective, you got to look at this and say, am I getting more value by adding KD to this team, or am I getting more value by taking a weakness, which would be in this case depth? Am I better off adding weakness? Would adding or would bettering my weakness add another 3% efficiency to my 90%, where KD only adds another 1.5%? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, we get that.
Yeah, we definitely get that.
We get that if my armor is maxed, then I need to probably start stacking some magic resistance.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep adding the best armor piece in the whole game.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? That's not going to do me any good. If I want to be the best
my hit
tank, I
points
gotta
are
have armor and magic resistance.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
My hit points are at 99, but my mana is lacking.
Exactly. So if I'm already at 95 and I add the best health option in the game, I'm going to get to 99. Great. I gain 4 points. Now, if I would have added the best magic piece in the game to my gear, I'm jumping my magic all the way up from 30 to 70. That's a 40-point gain right there. And that's what people are not understanding is there is a such thing as diminishing returns. And once you calculate all that in there, it doesn't like you never are horrible by adding KD to your team.
No.
But that doesn't mean you're adding so much more to it. It just adds another dimension, really. And if anything, that when you add another dimension, when you add another angle to your already complicated scheme, all you're doing is complicating things for yourself. You're not complicating things for other people. You're complicating things for yourself. And that's what's scary. That's why these super teams, more often than not, don't fail. I mean, ask the Blazers. The Blazers also did this. The Lakers tried this experiment.
That wasn't a super team.
It wasn't a super team, but I mean, at the time, in the context of that era, that was a super team.
No, that was
people.
Well,
hold on. Okay,
I'm sorry. No, go finish.
No, I mean, the Lakers and the Celtics home grew their teams.
Yes, they did.
You know what I mean? They didn't go out and gather players. The first ones to really do it was that Trailblazers team, the one that got Pippen. Go back and look at that team. They went out and acquired a bunch of talent. They didn't have enough balls to go around, and they failed miserably. There were also some other reasons.
They failed miserably. I mean, they were 12 minutes away from the finals. That was an epic collapse. I mean, there was an epic collapse.
Anything less than a Game 7 loss, and that's failing.
That wasn't Game 7 loss.
A Game 7 finals loss. If you're putting a team like that together, in that era, in that time, if you're going out and putting a super team like that together, you're doing it for one purpose, and you're doing it because you're going to win a championship.
Okay. I loved that Blazers squad. Okay. That was not a super team. There's only one player on that Blazers squad that is a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and that is Scottie Pippen. Rasheed Wallace, very talented. Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith, guys were all-stars. J.R. Ryder, Walt Williams, really, really good put-together squad. Dunleavy did a great job, especially because those were your Jailblazers too. Remember that?
By that same logic, though.
But that was not a super. But that squad was not a super team.
Then, by that definition, neither were the Warriors, and neither were the Heat.
Okay, that's different. The Heat as a super team, you already had guys who were multiple time All-Stars and a guy that had multiple MVPs. You just added 2 MVPs together in Golden State, so that qualifies it as a super team. Where you got 4 guys that are All-Stars and 2 of them MVPs.
But we're also talking about potential because right now,
this is potential. These guys have already
Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. I get that teaming up 2 superstars. That's unheard of. That's not been done before Dwayne Wade. And that's why it was such a big deal. Is because 2 superstars, two top of their game superstars, never joined forces. That was the first time that had ever been done.
Right.
Well, in free agency. It's the first time it happened.
Or even trades. I mean, no one agrees to that trade.
Yeah, they do.
No one in the Cleveland Cavs do not agree to trade. I mean, obviously they did only to get something back because if not, they're losing him for nothing.
It
was a trade, but they are not trading and giving the Heat LeBron James and Dwayne Wade.
Well, they didn't have both to give. But essentially, but here's the thing that happened all the time. That's what that's how Boston got number 17. Because hey, I'm the GM, I'm Danny Ainge, and I'm the general manager of the Boston Celtics. And then over here you have, hey, I'm Kevin McHale, I'm the general manager of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we and my friend Danny over here used to play for those good old Celtics together. And hey, Kevin, my squad sucks. Yeah, my squad does suck too. But what can we do for that good old Celtic glory? Ooh, let's take Kevin Garnett and send him to Boston for virtually nobody so that he can play with Paul Pierce, and then you can get Ray Allen to sign as a free agent, and all of a sudden you have yourself a championship squad.
I think there's more play than that. But
what do you mean there's more play with that? They had no reason to send Garnett there for any other reason.
Who sent him there?
McHale did.
Where did McHale live, breathe, and die?
He's all about the Celtics.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point. There was no reason for him to go over there except for McHale would rather have his precious Celtics, have another title than his own team that he worked for.
Correct. So I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know that that's really a fairness in that.
What I'm saying is that these teams put together by trades happened in the past. How do you think Kareem got to L.A.?
Well, yes,
but
they didn't give
Craig?
up Will for him. They didn't give up Magic for him.
They didn't. They traded him. They traded him
they
there
didn't
before
give up
Magic.
for him.
They didn't have them yet. They drafted those guys afterwards. They didn't have those two yet.
But that's what I'm saying is, you're a GM and you're doing a straight up trade, trying to get something from my organization and something from your organization. Who's gonna trade? I mean, what do you have to trade there?
Well, they traded nothing for him. Like
exactly.
They traded nothing and got Kareem, and then they drafted Magic and drafted Worthy, and it was like, but they literally traded Kareem away for nothing.
Right. I mean, and you have to forgive me. I don't know the circumstances around that trade. If I remember correctly, there was some circumstances regarding that. His trouble in Milwaukee, or he got burned in Milwaukee of some sort like that.
Well, he converted to Islam during that time.
Right.
So there was that and being in Milwaukee, but I mean they literally traded him away for nothing.
Right. But I mean that's like saying that they traded Gretzky away for nothing. Which they did.
They did.
But there was reasons behind that. They had nothing to do with hockey.
That's dumb.
Just like that had nothing to do with basketball.
I don't care how much a dude's pissing me off. I really, if we're winning, like to me those trades make no sense. When arguably one of the greatest players that ever played the game, I don't care how much he's pissing me off. If we're winning championships, he's not going anywhere. If the greatest hockey player, as long as he's not pulling a macho man with Vince McMahon trying to bang my daughter, he stays. No matter what. Like I don't trade him just because of. That's why those things that happen, they make no sense to me. Those deals when they go down, like, and that just built a super team organically, but built a super team for the Lakers through the '80s.
You need to have this talk with Harry Frazee about selling off Babe Ruth.
Well, yeah, I was about to mention that you gave Babe Ruth away for nothing,
for nothing,
for absolutely nothing.
Yes.
To save what, $500 or something like that?
For reasons outside of baseball. You know what I mean?
I mean, Red Sox fans to this day are still kicking themselves over that.
Of course. Yes. No, and I guess my point is this, okay? No one on the Warriors right now is a lock to reach a Hall of Fame. No one's a lock right now. Not a single one on the Warriors is a lock to go to the Hall of Fame. You can make the case in Miami.
I'd have to say for Steph, even if he plays mediocre basketball the rest of his career, because of the records he set and 2 MVPs, he's got to go. And every MVP is in there.
Even if he blows his knee out and never plays again.
Unless he breaks something and never plays another minute.
That That's what I consider a lock. If you were to quit playing today, are you?
If he quit
I
playing,
don't see anyone on the Warriors at this point doing that.
Yeah, if they quit today, no.
Right.
Checkmate.
All right, folks, that concludes tonight's pod. Thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time and listening to us as we chop it up about sports, games, technology, and the whole nine. Join us next time on Tuesday where we have another Top 10 Tuesday. Like I said, we are going to cover the top 10 NBA champions. Tweet us your teams, and tweet why you think these teams deserve to be in the top 10. If any of your teams include LeBron, we're going to say they're automatically disqualified. It's like, no, we're just playing.
I love that rule. Yes.
So, we're just playing now. The teams with LeBron are, I guess, are allowed to be on your top 10 if you want them to be. We're just not going to take all that serious, but just playing, folks. So thank you again for joining us with the Cheek Podcast. As always, I am Rockin' Mr. Magic, always joined by UniqDNA and our man MightyTP. And until the next time, y'all, peace.